Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Steve Down. This is my guitar. And if you're just joining us, we are in the 4th week looking at 4 on 6 by Wes Montgomery. This is what we've got up to so far. So we've covered the head, we've covered the first 2 choruses of the solo, and now we're into the 3rd chorus of the solo. So before we do that though, I want to say a big thanks to my patrons who've been supporting me over the last couple of weeks whilst I've been away a little bit, because I've had flu and then also had a bit of a dodgy wisdom tooth as well. So I haven't been able to talk a lot. So that obviously makes making YouTube videos a bit problematic. So thanks to my patrons who have been supporting me, and some of the new guys as well. So thanks Robert, Sean, Paolo, Michael, Richard, Carrie, Mikhail, Toon, Joe, Hoyon, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, sorry, Isaiah, JT, Dean, and Mark, who signed up today. So thanks to you guys who are the newbies. And if you want to support me on here and get the benefits of having the full transcriptions of all of the series that are on here and all the backing tracks that I use that I've made myself with the help of Josh Moon, Matt Carter, Joe Harris, and Jamie Sefton, and also all of the arpeggio, scale, chord, exercise packs and all that kind of stuff, anything that appears on the screen, and a few extras as well, then head over to Patreon. The link is on the screen here. And then if you want to support me in a one-off fashion, then there's a buy me a coffee link below as well. And then also, as always, hit the like and subscribe button, because then you're going to get the newest episode of whatever series that I'm on at that time. So let's jump into the 3rd chorus of Wes's solo on 4 on 6. Here we go. So the first 4 bars of this, he's using the G Dorian scale as his language for this. G Dorian scale being the 2nd mode of the key of F major. And the difference between the G natural minor and the Dorian scale is the note of E natural. So we've moved the E flat from G natural minor to E natural. Okay, and it gives a little bit more of a kind of like a majory kind of flavour while still being a minor scale because it's got that flat 3rd. So here's that scale here. And so what Wes is playing is a whole load of actually arpeggios that are derived from that Dorian scale. So the first one he plays is a G minor 7 straight up. Okay, and then he comes back down an A minor arpeggio. Okay, and then lands on a D there. And then goes up the G minor arpeggio again. Okay, so G minor, A minor, and then up G minor again. And then here he plays an F arpeggio, so C, A, F, and then a C arpeggio. And then there's a scalic line basically taking you back to G to kind of resolve at the end after all of these arpeggios. And it's taken from the Dorian, okay, literally just descending to resolve onto the tonic. So we've got a whole load of arpeggios here. G minor 7. A minor, up G minor, F, C, Dorian. Okay, G Dorian that is, going down. So tons and tons of arpeggios and then ending with a scalic run from G Dorian. All of those arpeggios, they're all derived from the Dorian scale. So it's all the harmonized Dorian scale. So it's well worth making sure that you know the Dorian scale and you know the arpeggios that are contained within them. I've transcribed, obviously, on screen the ones that he uses here. Okay, so let's take a look at the next 4 bars. This is where it gets a bit hairy because we've got that absolute mash of 2-5-1s that go through. And just to remind you, the 2-5-1s don't resolve. So there's no 1, it's just 2-5. And you've got a 2-5 in B flat, so C minor 7 to F9. A 2-5 in A flat, so B flat minor 7 to E flat 9. And then a 2-5 in G, A minor 7 to D9. And then a 2-5 in D flat major, E minor 7 to A flat 7, or E flat minor 9 to A flat 7 or A flat 9. Doesn't really matter as long as it's a minor to a dominant. 4 key centers, and it doesn't resolve to any of them. So that's confusing, obviously, and it's really difficult to navigate over the top of this. And Wes's approach so far has been to go from the third of each of the 2 chords. That's what he did last week, and we looked at the fact that he went from the third of each 2 chord and then sometimes didn't even reference the 5 chord and just used the 2 chord. This week he's getting a little bit more kind of spicy, and he's actually referencing the 2 and the 5. Because that means it's really fast and we've got a lot to process here. So let's get into that. So here's the arpeggios that he's drawing from. So basically what I've done here is I've created an exercise where I start each arpeggio of every chord in this 4-bar phrase from every 2/5, and I've started it from the third of each chord. So it'll be a minor third obviously for the minor chords and a major third for the dominant 7th chords. And this is just to show you what Wes's language is here. So here's that. So the first one that he plays is, that's the first 2 bars there. So it's slightly anticipated. He does start on the E flat, which is the third of C minor, and then carries on. There's an arpeggio there, an E flat major arpeggio, but obviously that is also a C minor 7 arpeggio starting on the third. And then an F7 arpeggio, okay, starting on the third, and then going through, adding in the 9th to get to, and on this one, he doesn't actually start on the third, and he starts on the flat 7 of B flat, but comes down to the third, and then goes through. It's more of a scalic phrase here. Okay, and then in the next bar here, on the 2/5 over G. Okay, so here on this one gets a little bit hairy, and basically what it looks like here is that he's playing an E natural minor scale, which would work because obviously that's within the key of G major. But basically what this does is this brings out the extensions of the A minor chord. Okay, E being the 5th, and then the G being the flat 7, and then the extension, the 9 being the B, okay? So it's an E minor, and then obviously the 11th as well on A minor. The E minor 7 arpeggio that's being kind of brought out here gives the flat 7, the 9, and the 11 over the top of the A minor. So it's intentionally being used here to bring out those arpeggios. So again, Wes is really hammering in on using arpeggios and starting on different notes of the chords and of the chord tones to bring out different notes and to make things sound a little bit more sophisticated. And then over the top of the D flat 2/5, so E flat minor 7 going to A flat 7. It looks really strange, this line. Okay, but all it is there is just him bringing out the E flat minor arpeggio. Okay, and then also bringing out some of the notes within A flat. So basically there again, starting on the 5th of the chord here this time, so the 5th of E flat minor, so starting on B flat for this particular passage. And he brings in, slides from that D flat there, the flat 7 of E flat, slides back to a C there, a C natural, and what this is acting as is the third of A flat there. So he's drawing out all of the chord tones there to make sure that he's actually referencing all of the chords going on. So I showed you that exercise where we basically took it from the third. Obviously within this 4-bar passage here, he doesn't take it from the third all of the time. Sometimes he takes it from other chord tones within the chord. But this is just a start that you can make by learning all of the arpeggios starting on the third rather than starting on the tonic, which is just going to sound boring. And you can see that Wes, because he started on lots and lots of different chord tones for each chord, when he's referencing the 2s and the 5s, it sounds a whole lot more sophisticated. So here's an example, something that I put together of how I might approach this particular passage, and you can use it or you can use my approach and get creative with it yourself and create a line yourself. So here's that. Okay, here's the next 4 bars. So this one is all about a descending and ascending spread arpeggio. The first one is really tricky. Okay, and at speed, it's really quite tricky. Okay, spread arpeggio is basically an arpeggio that is spread across all of the strings, and it involves quite big fret stretches. So here's some spread arpeggios that I've put together in an exercise for you to practice. What Wes is doing here is he's playing a G minor 7 spread arpeggio, but he's adding in the 9th A here, and as he goes down, he's actually missing out the G. So the G doesn't actually appear here at all. So it kind of seems almost like it's a type of almost D minor or F arpeggio, but it is over the top of G minor 7, so that gives you the clue that it is G minor 7. But what he's doing here is he's starting on a different note in order to be able to make it sound a little bit different. So a bit more sophisticated, a bit more spicy sounding. Okay, that G only appears in the next bar when he starts to come back up. And he goes back up scalically. Okay. Okay, and then we've got running all the way up using some of the notes from G Dorian all the way up through here. So go back to the beginning of this video if you want to learn the G Dorian scale. And so Wes is creating some interesting spread arpeggios that don't have the tonic in them. And so what I've done here with this exercise is I've given you a whole load of spread arpeggios. Obviously there are myriad spread arpeggios, which you can look up yourself, but I've given you 4, 3 that have the 9th included and 1 that has the 11th included, which is quite nice, which is basically kind of giving you more of an F kind of sound over the top of it. Do have a go at using these over the top of this particular passage where you've got the G minor to C9. It does sound really interesting. Wes uses an awful lot of spread arpeggios. Definitely take a look at D natural blues if you want to see some examples of that. It does make it sound really cool, really sophisticated. I use that word far too often. Need to find a different word. But I would definitely encourage you to use those within your solo. Okay, and then finally the last 4 bars. So here, Wes is literally just using a G minor blues scale for all of this. After all of that sophistication, all of that ridiculousness that he's playing in the last 12 bars, he finishes off with something pretty simple, and it's only the rhythm that's quite tricky. Okay, and it's an interesting phrase there that he's using. The G blues scale that he's using is this. And at the end there, we've got a little bit of chromaticness going on. Okay, and that's over the top of a B flat chord there, which is interesting because he's approaching it like it's a B flat minor rather than a B flat major. So I would encourage you there to maybe try using some of the minor tonality. Be really careful. Wes's phrasing obviously there is absolutely kind of scholarly. So I would say that it does take someone with really good phrasing to be able to pull that off. And then at the end here, obviously we've got these this minor 2-5-1 going on over the end of it. But what he does is literally just play some notes from the G natural minor scale over the top of that, and ends it on the dominant note there, so on the D, which obviously brings you back really nicely to home. So Wes is obviously ending on that note because he wants to draw it back to the tonic. Okay, and then next week we're going on to do the octave solo, which is a bit crazy, so stick around for that one. So that's it for this week. Obviously we've got a huge amount of stuff to be getting on with, so it'll be 2 weeks before the next lesson. So make sure that you learn your G Dorian scale, your G blues scale, Make sure you learn all of those arpeggios and start trying to approach them and start phrases from different notes within the arpeggio just to make it sound interesting. And then obviously we've got this spread arpeggios as well, so be working on those and try them with not just the usual kind of bog standard minor seventh arpeggio, but try using some ninths and 11ths, even 13ths in there and see how it sounds. So thanks a lot for watching along here. Make sure that you head over to Patreon. The link is there, and there you can get the transcriptions, the backing tracks, and all the exercise packs and a bit more as well. And also remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Happy practicing. Bye.